起来就直接不认人。哎，
你这个要给小花拿一下吗？
没关系。
不用抓，宝贝，不要掉下去。
Poi mi sto dando che la
边境。是条路线了。还好。
1, 2, 1, 2, is this thing on? Hello and good evening. Welcome aboard the world famous studio tour. Before we get this bus rolling, before I introduce myself, I need to make sure. Does everybody have a pair of 3D glasses? If you don't have 3D glasses, now is your one chance to raise your hand. Your empty hand. Wave it around in the sky, grab the attention of a studio tour ambassador. I don't see any raised hands, so folks, always watch your hands, arms, feet, and legs as the gates are closing. And, well, let me say hi. I'm Dimitri, I'm your fabulous tour guide. It's great to have you all here today. We are getting started, so as we do, I've got some introductions to make as we head out to the world-famous studio tour. Starting off with my co-host. You might know him as the host of The Tonight Show. You might know him from That's My Jam, the one and only Jimmy Fallon.
Welcome to the Universal Studio Tour. I'm Jimmy Fallon. I'll be making sure that you get through this experience in one piece. You've got the very best guide.
Dimitri.
And the greatest driver.
Angel.
They're the best. I love them. Even though
Angel
owes me $5.
What? No.
I know you guys are excited to get on the tour, but first, a few safety rules.
Okay, well, first of all, I don't know how to drive, so I'm really glad that Angel is here. And speaking of safety, folks, we do have some safety rules to go over, starting off with the screens that say warning. I just want to let you folks know, the screens that say warning will never ever be in 3D. I promise I will let you know when to wear those 3D glasses, but for now they are not currently needed. However, they are very fashionable. Now, if you need any sort of guest assistance or have a medical emergency, or let's say you drop something of value off the side of the tram or have any sound or video issues, just reach up and grab that red cord that runs along the center of the ceiling of the tram, and I'll be back to assist you as soon as it is safe for me to do so. Otherwise, during the entire tour, please stay seated and keep all hands, arms, feet, and legs inside the vehicle at all times. And remember to use that red cord above your head if you need any sort of assistance. The studio is private property, so if you drop your phone or just can't wait to use the restroom, pull that cord and then remain seated at all times. Please no smoking and or vaping of any kind during the studio tour, and be prepared. Our tour today will feature loud noises, sudden tram movements, fire effects, and many water effects, so you'll want to have those cameras out for some great photo opportunities. But please keep an eye on those cameras so they don't get wet. And finally, for your safety and those around you, please no selfie sticks or flash photography while on board the tram. With all of this out of the way, we are leaving the theme park behind. We're making our way down the Universal Studios timeline, those movie posters to the right-hand side of the vehicle. And as we head a little further down, you'll start to notice that we here at Universal, we're not just a theme park, we're not just a movie studio. We are an entire functional city. We basically have everything your city has. As you can see here to the right-hand side, we have our own real working fire station with real working firefighters inside. That is Fire Station 51. We also have our own police station, our own medical station. Heck, we even have our own unique zip code if you ever wanted to send us a postcard. But the big difference between our city and your city is that nobody actually lives here. We don't have any universal citizens unless you're counting the guests and my co-workers, that is. But to give you a very brief history, everything that you see around you started on March 15th, 1915, when our founder Carl Laemmle, guy in the bow tie, he wanted to build the strangest little city in the entire world, and here we are 109 years later. That is exactly what we have become. We are the only city in the entire world entirely dedicated to movie-making magic. But we are heading out fast, folks, and we're Well, we've been approaching the Universal Studios front lot over to your left-hand side. This is the area of the lot where we keep most of our 36 sound stages. And to give you an idea of what a soundstage is, what we do inside these buildings, let's take a look to our left. Soundstage 12, one of our biggest and oldest. To give you an idea of just what it is that we do inside of these sound stages, take a look to your screens.
Right.
Say hello to my little friend!
So all of the environments that you just saw on screen, everything from Dracula's castle, Frankenstein's laboratory, the Whoville village from The Grinch Who Stole Christmas, it all starts from the ground up inside these large, empty warehouse-like spaces that we call sound stages. We're passing even more sound stages to your left-hand side. And in order to customize these sound stages, it takes an awful lot of work. Again, everything is built from scratch, but that gives us complete control of the environment, the lighting, the temperature, building the indoors, outdoors. We can do it all. But with a glimpse into our past, it kind of begs the question, who's been filming here recently? And I'll tell you, folks, we have had a lot of TV series as of late. So if you take a look to your left-hand side, check out those golf carts as we round the corner. If you can read the little signs on those golf carts, we call them production tags, that's for Ted Season 2 from executive producer Seth MacFarlane, now streaming on Peacock. Around the corner, another TV show filming here in the area is HBO's Hacks. You can see their costume trailers here to the left-hand side. Now, whenever you see a parking lot full of a cluster of trailers and vehicles like this here in the industry, it's called a base camp or a base of operations. Even with all of the customization we can achieve inside of our sound stages, there are still additional materials that are needed in order to have a production run smoothly. Okay, what else has been filming here on the lot? A lot of NBC television shows. As you might know, we here at Universal have been broadcasting television shows with NBC for the last 80 years. So you might be familiar with titles like The Voice. The 26th season of The Voice just came to a close. We're now getting ready for season 27. But if you saw season 26, you saw special guest judge Reba McEntire. And she was filming 2 shows on the Universal Studios lot. She got her own TV show called Happy's Place, which is now streaming on Peacock. We've had Bel Air, the dramatic reproduction of The Fresh Prince of Bel Air, starring Jabari Banks and Ali Sholaton, and so many more that we'll be passing by signs of later. But the thing is, no matter if we're working with NBC and Universal, or whether we're working with an off-lot company like HBO, or, for instance, Apple TV, over to your right-hand side, you'll see the parking placards for Loot from Apple TV starring Maya Rudolph. There's so many little pieces of evidence of production like this all over the Universal Studios lot. And our goal, no matter who we're working with, at the end of the day, is to bring your favorite stories to life. Now, we do work with a lot of off-lot companies, but we also work with a lot of companies right here on the Universal Studios film and television lot. You'll see evidence of some of those companies. Over to your right-hand side, Illumination Entertainment. You can see the Minions. And of course, Illumination Entertainment is not only responsible for the Minions, but Despicable Me, Secret Life of Pets, the Sing movies, and so much more. Another company that works on our lot, we're actually heading over to where most of these companies work. We're heading over to buildings called the Production Bungalows. In earlier days of the studio, these acted as homes away from homes for stars of the golden age of Hollywood. Rock Hudson, Doris Day, Lucille Ball, as well as Alfred Hitchcock, all worked out of these bungalows coming up to your left-hand side. But these days, one of the most notable companies working out of the Production Bungalows to your left is Palat Productions, behind musicals like La La Land, Dear Evan Hansen, and now Wicked the Musical. As we head a little bit further, I thought we'd get a sneak peek to Wicked with director of the film, John M. Chu.
Tour. You're seeing a lot of behind-the-scenes movie-making magic today, showing you up close how filmmakers, like me, bring our dreams to the big screen. After your tour, the magic of Wicked continues at Universal Studios Hollywood, where you can experience photo ops, props, and costumes from the film, and fun bites and drinks from Shiz and Emerald City. But first, here's a look at Wicked.
All aboard!
Come with me to meet the wizard.
I couldn't possibly. This is your moment. I'm coming.
I think that's something to see.
Very good.
There's a lot of important work that takes place in the buildings to your left-hand side. There's a lot of planning, a lot of pre-production. All of the budgeting, casting, costuming, scripting has to be completed before our cast and crew move into one of our backlot sets, our front lot sound stages. Now, if you saw it over to your left-hand side, Bungalow 5195, that was the old Alfred Hitchcock bungalow, but we are moving fast. We've got more to cover for now. Over to your left, two last sound stages. Now this is where Lopez versus Lopez films at Soundstage 25, and next door we have a new show from the producers of Superstore called St. Dennis Medical. Their first season just premiered this November. But one thing I want you to keep in mind as we head past these sound stages and make our way to the back lot is, again, 80 to 90% of all the filming here at Universal happens inside the walls of our sound stages, so we can't usually see a lot of what's going on. But as we turn the corner, we're heading to our first backlot set visit of the day, and we're going to get up close and personal with the movie Magic. Now the Metro sets, coming up to your right-hand side, this is 4 acres of city that can play really anywhere in the entire world. The reason being is, even though some of these buildings are realistic enough to fool the eye or fool the camera, they don't have a lot going on the inside. No place for creature comforts like plumbing or electricity or furniture or Wi-Fi, nothing like that, but enough of the face or the facade of a building to act as a set or a setting. Now, as we round the corner, our first neighborhood will begin to open up to us. The first thing you might be able to see is the Brownstone Street apartments across the way, but on the other side, the right-hand side of this neighborhood, is a freshly built set for St. Dennis Medical. It's a hospital, ambulance bay, and emergency room, but that front of the hospital building is set to play the fictional town of Merrick, Oregon in St. Dennis Medical. A little bit further on down the way, we have the Brownstone Street apartments, which were featured in TV shows like The Mindy Project and movies like Home Alone 2, Lost in New York, and even Bruce Almighty. Let's take a look.
Raise the dog!
Here's the thing, folks. Moments previous, when Jim Carrey was inside of the apartment, that wasn't actually filmed on the Universal Studios backlot at all. That was filmed months previous inside one of our front lot sound stages. But this part of the scene was filmed just to your right-hand side. The reason we can do that, by using an establishing shot, we can make you believe anything the camera wants to, but with the knowledge that these buildings are fake, folks, we're about to head to one of the most famous fake buildings here in the Universal Studios backlot. Featured as Hill Valley, California in Back to the Future Parts 1 and 2, I'd like to welcome you to Courthouse Square. Now, Courthouse Square has changed looks over the years, and this facade of a building that we see to our left-hand side, it looks a little unfamiliar, doesn't it? Well, you have seen it plenty of times since it's got a makeover in 2008 for the CBS television show Ghost Whisperer, starring Jennifer Love Hewitt. Now, I want to reassure you folks, especially my Back to the Future fans out there, don't worry, we did in fact save the clock tower. And if you look through the open doors of the City Hall building, you can see some of the original pillars as they appear on your screen. We could bring it back if we wanted to, and while we can't time travel, folks, what I can do is show you a 1990s version of our Courthouse Square as we head out of the area. This is a little sneak peek to the TED television series, now streaming Season 2 on Peacock.
Hi everyone, Seth MacFarlane here, and I'm excited to share with you a behind-the-scenes look at my Peacock original event series, TED. It's a prequel series set in 1993. And that means our skilled craftspeople had to build a high school, a house, and even recreate downtown Boston as it looked back in the day, using exterior sets and facades that you're about to see on the tour. But I should warn you, TED is intended for mature audiences only. So grown-ups, tell the kids to go in the other room before you watch. Oh, come on!
As we turn the corner, we're now here on our New York Street. Now, this area has recently played Boston in TED Season 2, but you've also seen it over the years as Mission City in Paramount Pictures' Transformers. You've seen it as Chicago in the Blues Brothers. You've seen it in so many different commercials, I can't even begin to name them. But what I do want to show you is how our filmmakers transport you around the world without ever leaving the Universal Studios lot. Because it all comes down to decoration, the signs of life, the flavor of the city that our filmmakers decorate the area with. And I can show you with the help of my co-host, Jimmy Fallon.
Hey everyone, welcome to New York! I got my start right here in New York on Saturday Night Live. This is actually my old neighborhood. Once got mugged over there by an old woman, tough lady. This is my favorite hot dog guy. Hey buddy, how's it going? Remember me? No. Just like old times. Gotta love New York City. Hey, I'm walking here! I'm walking here! Hey, it's cool guys. I was just walking there. So it's not exactly New York, but a lot of times when you see New York in the movies, it was shot right here on the Universal Metro sets. If you can make it here, you can make it anywhere. even if you make it here on the Universal lot.
Absolutely right, folks. Now, one last thing I want you to look at before we head on out of the Metropolitan sets. Take a closer look at some of the materials that the buildings are built with on either side of the road, especially the stonework and the brickwork. Most of what you see here is just painted pieces of fiberglass, plastic, or wood that have been painted, textured, and shaped to look like more expensive materials. That allows our filmmakers to maybe damage the area if they need to for some sort of set, and if something is damaged on accident, it's a lot cheaper and a lot easier to replace than, well, something in a real city. We are ready to leave the not-so-concrete jungle behind, though. And as we do, we are heading on over to the real jungle of Skull Island from director Peter Jackson's 2005 King Kong. So let's learn a little bit about the wildlife, shall we?
The Universal Tram is winding its way through a very rough, narrow trail in Skull Island, allowing the visitors a little sneak peek at some of the wildlife of Skull Island. In a sense, this is like a mini sequel, a mini continuation. We're just taking the Kong and Skull Island and the dinosaurs that we established in our feature film, and this is another day, another incident on Skull Island, using the creatures and the character and personality of Kong as he appeared in the movie.
All right, folks, please take this time to secure those personal belongings. Remember, no standing, no flash photography. Get those 3D glasses ready. And, well, you have just enough time to find a loved one. And you hold them close. And you let them know just how much they mean to you as we return to Skull Island.
加油佢啊！想要一隻。
Gentlemen, folks, friends, and moviegoers of all ages, that was King Kong 360 3D. Congratulations to those of you who survived. Now, I promise I will let you know when to wear those 3D glasses once again, but in the meantime, just to check back in with everybody, well, how are we feeling? What did we think about that bananas experience back there? Yeah, it was pretty nice, right? You might have even recognized the works of Weta Effects. They are the team behind some of your favorite digital effects in the movies. They work out of New Zealand, behind The War, The Planet of the Apes, The Jungle Book, Disney's Avengers Infinity War, as well as Endgame, and even The Jungle Book. They won their 7th Academy Award for Avatar 2: The Way of Water, and they are still developing some of the most advanced digital filmmaking technology ever made. They also use some of the biggest IMAX screens ever made, so let's see how they do. What effects on King Kong 360 3D?
With a project like the studio tour, the audience is in the middle of the environment. They're looking in all directions, there's creatures coming at them, they're seeing Kong from this side and T-Rexes from the other side.
Working on a movie, we always know where the people are looking. They're looking straight ahead, they're looking at the shot that we're working on.
Here you have to take into account that people are looking in all directions.
Also, one of the things about this ride, unlike the movies that we're used to working on, there's no cuts, because it's one giant shot. This tram that's driving along through Skull Island is where the camera's from. This ring represents where the screen is 10 meters away.
We're really creating about 50 minutes of a feature film. That amount of visual information, that number of pixels, and presenting them to the audience, it's a hell of a ride.
As we make our way away from Skull Island, let's talk monster movies, because Universal's history with monster movies doesn't just go back to the early 2000s with movies like Peter Jackson's King Kong. No, it goes back to the very early days of our studio itself. I'm talking from the 1920s until the 1950s, monster movies were king. Now, what you're seeing on screens is a little behind-the-scenes footage of the painting of the mural on your right-hand side coming up. This is the Universal Monster mural painted by world-renowned artist Tristan Eaton, who is known for his large-scale graffiti murals. This mural immortalizes the likes of Lon Chaney Jr.'s The Wolfman, Rico Browning's Creature from the Black Lagoon, Boris Karloff's Frankenstein, Elsa Lancaster's The Bride of Frankenstein, and even Bela Lugosi's Dracula. We are moving on forward, though. This is one of the best moments of the day to see this mural. It's a lovely sunset view. I think it looks really pretty right now. Over to your left-hand side, take a look before we go too far. You'll miss Soundstage 30. You can see a little bit inside of Soundstage 30. There is some crazy, giant, like, horse legs inside of there. Okay, that's a little wild. But that's where we just wrapped up filming Season 26 of NBC's The Voice. Now we're getting ready for Season 27. Maybe the giant horse legs have to do something with it. But a little bit further on, folks, Soundstages 32 and 33, gotta give a little shout out to director Jordan Peele. His movies Us and Nope filmed right here in the area. The underground layer of The Tethered in Us was built inside Soundstages 32 and 33, and the road that we're driving on was featured in the movie Nope. Over to your right-hand side, I just want to point out our Western sets. This is where the original studio tour used to exist, and there were no trams or tour guides. All you did was sit on bleachers and watch the movies as they were made. Now, I do want to focus, while we're still here in the area, to your left-hand side, again, to the Hollywood Ocean this time. That body of water, we call it the Hollywood Ocean because it can play any body of water in the entire world. 70 years ago, it featured as the Amazon River in Creature from the Black Lagoon, starring Rico Browning. And although 70 years is quite the impressive number, well, 70 years is still one of our younger monsters, so we're heading back to where some of the earliest monsters got their start. I'm talking Bela Lugosi's Dracula, Lon Chaney's Phantom of the Opera, and the Hunchback of Notre Dame. They all got their start in our next set visit, Little Europe. But more recently than seeing Little Europe in black and white, you may have seen it in full Technicolor in a TV show starring Kristen Bell and Ted Danson called The Good Place. Let's see if this doesn't reset your memories or ring a bell.
You, Eleanor Shellstrom, are dead.
Cool.
This location, the afterlife, come on. I've never ever seen this. You're in the good place.
I'm not supposed to be here. I can't risk going to the bad place.
Maybe it's not all that bad.
Hi there. How can I help you?
What is the bad place like?
Well, it doesn't sound awesome.
As we drive through Little Europe, here in the twilight, it's quite colorful still. It's charming, with all the pastels and the flowers. You could imagine a couple candlelit cafes and people taking their evening strolls on either side of the road. This place is charming enough to even be featured in a couple of different Disney productions. You've seen it in the Princess... Wait, wow, I'm having a brain moment here, 1 second. We're doing bloopers, folks, hold on. The Princess Diaries 2 Royal Engagement, where this area played the fictional country of Genovia. You've also seen it in Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of the Black Pearl. This is where we first met our main character, Jack Sparrow, as he's escaping a band of redcoats. And this area even featured in Roger and Hammerstein's made-for-TV musical Cinderella, starring Brandy and Whitney Houston. But the thing is, folks, if we were to change the tone of how we film this area, let's say we filmed it in black and white, we take away all the charming flowers, we add in a couple of angry villagers with pitchforks and torches, and we throw them into this courtyard to your right-hand side to have them chase after something like Frankenstein's monster, well, that would be a recipe for a classic monster movie. So let's roll the tape from 1931. This is Boris Karloff's Frankenstein. Almost a century ago is when it was filmed right here in Little Europe.
Raise all the men you can, lock the women indoors, and wait for me. Are you ready? Let your position go!
Agora que você fez algumas cenas e as venturas do menino.
Dracula, Frankenstein, Bride of Frankenstein, The Mummy, Hunchback of Notre Dame, The Invisible Man, Phantom of the Opera. Classic films. They're just brilliantly made. That Frankenstein image, flathead, bald. It's one of the great icons of the world. That to me was like the essence of the universal horror film. I was just mesmerized by these movies. Boris Karloff, Lon Chaney.
I remember the original Universal Studios Mummy movie really scaring me.
They still ring in our memories now. We love them.
We do in fact love our monster movies, and we don't just leave them in the past. We celebrate them to this very day with things like our Universal Monster Mural, and also next year in Orlando, Universal Epic Universe is opening up, and part of that theme park is the Dark Universe, entirely dedicated to the monster movies. But that's neither here nor there. I'm a huge theme park nerd. I could talk about that all day. But right now, we are reaching the approximate halfway point of our tour. So I just want to remind everybody to please stay seated, keep all hands and arms and feet and legs inside the vehicle at all times, and remember to use that red gourd above your head if you need any sort of assistance. For now, we are heading on up the road to the lovely little seaside town of Amity Island from Steven Spielberg's 1975 creature feature, Jaws. Well, folks, if there is any shark activity out there, we sent one of our divers, George, into the water, as you may have seen on screen. I don't know how much time he's got left in this world. I think some kind words might ease his journey. George, you're doing a great job, buddy. We're so proud of you. I hope you can hear me over the screaming. If I'm being honest, I don't think you could. But you know what, folks? We gotta prioritize ourselves right now. Put our oxygen masks on first and get out of here. You know what? This is a great idea. We're gonna hide behind these very safe barrels of gasoline. We're